Welcome back to our channel History Coins HD. As you that old is gold, but these rare $quarter coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Number 1. Where history, mystery, and money collide. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most surprising stories in American coin collecting, the 1965 Washington quarter that could be worth a fortune. So stick with us, because you just might have one of these rare coins sitting in your pocket, completely unnoticed. Now, let's rewind time for a moment. The year is 1965. The United States is in the middle of massive change. The country is facing the Vietnam War, civil rights movements are sweeping the nation, and the U.S. Mint is in trouble. You see, silver prices are rising fast. Too fast. So fast, in fact, that the U.S. government makes a bold decision. It stops using silver in dimes and quarters. Before 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver. But in 1965, that all changed. The new quarters were made with a copper-nickel clad composition. They looked almost the same, but the silver was gone. However, as with many major transitions, things didn't go perfectly. Mistakes were made. And that's where our story begins. Most 1965 quarters are common. You've probably held one hundreds of times in your life. They're everywhere. Billions were made, but there's a twist. There are a few 1965 quarters that were struck on silver planchets, meaning the metal blanks meant for the previous year's 90% silver quarters. Somehow, during the transition, some silver blanks got mixed in. Maybe it was a mint worker's oversight. Maybe it was a timing issue. Whatever the cause, a small number of 1,965 quarters were accidentally minted using silver instead of the new copper-nickel alloy. These are the ones collectors dream about. They look very similar to regular 1965 quarters at first glance, but there are subtle differences. They weigh slightly more, around 6.25 grams compared to the standard 5.67 grams. And when dropped, they make a distinctly higher pitched sound, thanks to the silver content. If you hold one of these coins in your hand, you might not know it's special. But a trained eye or a coin scale can reveal something incredible. Collectors have been hunting these rare silver 1,965 quarters for decades. They're not just rare, they're mysterious. The U.S. Mint never officially acknowledged their existence at the time. That only added fuel to the fire. Coin experts began searching high and low, and over the years, a few of these quarters have been discovered. And when they appear, they make headlines. To eye in the coin world, rarity is everything. But condition is just as important. Most coins in circulation show signs of wear, scratches, discoloration, dull surfaces. But finding a rare coin in pristine condition? That's the holy grail. And when that coin is a 1965 silver quarter, all the stars align. And now, let's talk about the thrill of discovery. Imagine the excitement of realizing the coin in your hand is not just rare, it's nearly perfect. Maybe it sat untouched in a drawer for decades. Maybe someone unknowingly saved it without ever understanding its value. And then, one day, someone takes a closer look. They weigh it. They test it. They send it off to be professionally graded. And when it comes back, it's confirmed to be one of the few, the rare, the nearly mythical 1965 silver Washington quarters. Stories like these aren't just fantasy, they're real. And they've happened to ordinary people just like you. People who took the time to look a little closer, to ask questions, to explore the story behind the coin. So how much can one of these treasures be worth? Before we reveal that number, let me remind you, this isn't just about money. It's about history. It's about holding in your hand a coin that wasn't supposed to exist. A coin that somehow slipped through the cracks of the mint during one of the most significant shifts in American coinage. It's a time capsule. A mistake that became a miracle for collectors. And now, the value point. One of these rare 1965 Washington quarters, minted on a silver planchet, in outstanding, uncirculated condition, was once sold for an astonishing $105,000. Yes. You heard that right. $105,000 for a single quarter. So the next time you see a 1965 quarter, don't just shrug it off. Hold on to it. Test it. Weigh it. Because you never know, you could be holding a piece of American history worth more than your car, your rent, or maybe even your house. Thanks for joining us on this coin adventure. If you love discovering hidden treasures and stories buried in pocket change, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and leave a comment below if you've ever come across a coin that seemed a little unusual. You might just be one step away from your own six-figure surprise. Happy hunting, and we'll see you in the next one. Number 2. Where we peel back the layers of everyday coins and discover the unbelievable stories and unbelievable values behind them. We're diving into one of the most surprising discoveries in American coin collecting history, the 1970 Washington quarter with a twist. Stay with us, because this coin is not just rare, it's mysterious, and potentially worth more than you could ever imagine. Let's go back in time for a moment. The year is 1970. The Vietnam War is still raging. The Beatles have just broken up. The U.S. is in political turmoil, cultural revolution, and economic transition. And amidst it all, the U.S. Mint is churning out millions of coins, including the Washington quarter, but something strange happens. In a time when quality control is high and coin production is streamlined, a bizarre and unexpected error slips through the cracks. This isn't just any quarter, it's a 1970s Washington quarter with a deeply hidden secret. At first glance, it looks completely ordinary. It has the classic profile of George Washington on the obverse, the majestic eagle perched on the reverse, and a familiar silvertone shine. But here's where things get interesting. Some of these quarters were accidentally struck over Canadian coins. Yes, you heard that right. Specifically, over a 1941 Canadian quarter. What does that mean? It means that underneath the surface design of the 1970s Washington quarter, faint traces of the original Canadian coin are still visible. Words, numbers, and even part of the original image can be seen if you look closely enough, or with magnification. This wasn't intentional. It was an astonishing minting error, an overlap of two nations' coins in one unintentional piece of metal art. This kind of coin is known in the collector world as a struck-over error, and it's incredibly rare. It happens when a blank planchet from one coin somehow slips into the presses and gets stamped with the design of another. And now, you might be asking, how could something like that even happen? Well, it's not entirely clear. Some believe it was a result of leftover planchets from previous production runs being recycled in error. Others speculate that it may have happened during internal coin testing, or even as an intentional error that escaped into the public. But however it happened, the result is real and astonishing. So what makes this coin so desirable? It's the combination of three powerful elements: rarity, a dramatic and visible error, and near-perfect condition. Error coins always grab attention. They tell a story. They represent the human side of minting, where machines are precise, but mistakes still slip through. And when those errors are dramatic, obvious, and traceable to something like a 1941 Canadian coin, that's the stuff collectors live for. But rarity alone doesn't set the value. Condition plays a major role. Some of the known 1970s quarters struck on Canadian coinage have been preserved in exceptional quality. That means clear details, crisp edges, and little to no wear. And in the coin collecting world, that's the difference between pocket change and museum quality treasure. What's even more fascinating is how few of these coins exist. They're not in circulation. They're not in your average coin roll. They're not even commonly found in old coin collections. They're ghosts, whispers of a minting anomaly from over 50 years ago. But for those lucky few who've stumbled upon one, the payoff can be life-changing. Collectors have been buzzing about this coin ever since it came to light. Online auctions, private sales, and coin grading forums are filled with speculation and awe. Some people spend their lives searching for rare coins and never encounter one like this. It's not just a coin. It's a conversation piece. It's a crossover of history, geography, and numismatic mystery all wrapped into one silvery disc. It's the kind of story that makes you look twice at every quarter that crosses your palm. So now, let's get to the part you've been waiting for. How much is one of these incredibly rare 1970s Washington quarters struck over a 1941 Canadian coin in near flawless condition actually worth? The answer will shock you. One of these rare quarters, when authenticated and properly graded, was once sold for an extraordinary $100,000. That's right. A single quarter. 25 cents in face value, transformed into six figures of collector value, and who knows? One could still be out there, waiting to be found in an old jar, a forgotten drawer, or a box of coins passed down through the generations. So the next time you pick up a coin, any coin, remember this: the smallest things can hide the biggest surprises. Keep looking, keep collecting, and keep the dream alive. We'll see you next time, where your next quarter could be worth more than your car, your rent, or your college tuition. Number 3. Where the everyday becomes extraordinary, and the loose change jingling in your pocket might just be the key to a hidden fortune. Today's story isn't about myth or legend, it's about a very real, very rare 1974 Washington quarter that has left collectors stunned and treasure hunters on high alert. This is one of those coins that proves something we often forget: mistakes can be valuable. And not just, oh, that's interesting, valuable, but life-changing, jaw-dropping, unbelievable valuable. Let's dive in. The year is 1974. The United States is in the midst of political chaos. President Nixon is embroiled in the Watergate scandal, and public trust in the government is slipping fast. Inflation is rising, and the economy is shifting. But in the quiet halls of the U.S. Mint, business continues as usual. Or so it seems. Millions of coins are being produced every day. The Washington quarter, an American staple since 1932, is rolling off the presses in mass quantities. But somewhere in the machinery, in the mix of metal and pressure and precision, something goes wrong. A mistake is made. Not all mistakes are obvious. Some are subtle. So subtle, in fact, that they might go unnoticed for years. But in the case of the 1974 Washington quarter, one specific type of error turned a normal coin into a collector's dream. Let me explain. You see, in 1974, quarters were supposed to be made from a copper-nickel clad composition. That means layers of metal fused together, a copper core, sandwiched between two layers of nickel. Standard. Routine. Reliable, but not all of them turned out that way. Somehow, a very small number of 1,974 quarters were struck on pure silver planchets, blanks that were never meant to be used that year. How this happened is still debated. Some say it was leftover silver stock from previous years. Others believe it was a rare test strike. Either way, the result was extraordinary, and now, if you hold one of these error coins, you might not notice anything strange right away. It looks like any other quarter. It has George Washington's iconic profile on the front, the eagle on the back. The date 1974. Everything seems normal, but listen to the sound it makes when dropped. There's a distinct, ringing tone that only silver can produce. Weigh it, and you'll notice it comes in heavier than a standard clad quarter. And under magnification, a trained eye can spot the difference in luster and detail. These rare silver-struck quarters from 1974 are incredibly hard to find. Most were likely spent without a second thought, mixed in with billions of others, never to be seen again. But a few, just a few, survived. And they become some of the most hunted coins in modern American numismatics, and the mystery doesn't stop there. Some 1974 quarters also exhibit doubling, an error known as a double die. This means parts of the lettering or imagery on the coin appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. Combine a doubled die with a silver planchet and you've got something unbelievably rare. It's this perfect storm: unexpected metal composition, subtle visual anomalies, and historical context that turns a simple quarter into a collector's masterpiece. Imagine finding one in your grandfather's coin collection. Or at a flea market. Or in that old piggy bank you haven't opened in 20 years, and here's the kicker: most people wouldn't even notice. They'd look at it and say, it's just a 1974 quarter. Maybe they'd toss it back into a change jar or use it for parking, but not you, because now you know the truth. You know that some of these coins were struck on the wrong metal. You know the mint didn't catch it. And you know that collectors around the world would pay a fortune to own one in pristine condition. So the next time you're sorting coins, slow down. Pay attention. Look at the weight. Listen to the tone. Examine the edges. Because what looks ordinary might be something extraordinary hiding in plain sight. You're probably wondering just how much one of these rare 1974 Washington quarters is worth. Let me put it this way: one of these extraordinary error coins, certified, authenticated, and preserved in high-grade condition, was once auctioned for a staggering $94,000. That's right. A coin worth 25 cents at face value turned into a treasure worth $94,000, and it could still be out there. In a drawer. In a box. In your hands. So keep looking. Stay curious. And never underestimate the power of a mistake. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy coin stories, rare finds, and the thrill of the hunt, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Because here, even pocket change can be pure gold. See you next time. And until then, keep searching.